This is 9.4, partial fraction decomposition. What a name. This is the last section in chapter 9. Chapter 9 is pretty short. So we did 9.2, 9.3, and then now we're into 9.4. Those first two had to do with matrices, which is what our warm-up is here. But the rest of it is not like those previous two. All right, so let's start with our warm-up. We're going to take row by column. So 0, 3 times 3, negative 2. 0 times 3 plus 3 times negative 2. Whoops. Don't need that bracket there yet. We still have another column to multiply by. So 0 times 3, or 0, 3 times negative 1, 0. 0, negative 1, plus 3 times 0. Negative 2 times 3, we're on to that second row, first column. 4 times negative 2. And negative 2 times negative 1, plus 4 times 0. All right, so here we get a negative 6, 0. See, negative 6 and negative 8 would be negative 14 and 2. Oh goodness, I did that whole thing without showing you, but hopefully you had done it on your own anyway, so that maybe that was perfect. All right, our steps for partial fraction decomposition. You may want to pause so you can get all these written down. You need to factor the denominator first, then write it as partial fractions. Going to multiply by the LCD, substitute in the zeros of the denominator to find capital A and capital B. You'll find out what those are in a bit. And then rewrite the completed decomposition. All right, so here we go. We're going to start by factoring the denominator. So multiply to get 10, adds to get 7. That would be 5 and 2. So we're going to rewrite that as partial fractions. So what that means is we're going to take x plus 5 as one of our denominators and x plus 2 as another one. The numerator of one will be a and the other will be b. It does not matter the order you write those in. And basically the process that we're doing is kind of working backwards, where we're used to being given two fractions and finding an LCD and coming up with one rational expression at the end. But now we're starting with the one and we're breaking it apart into multiple. All right, so we've done step 1, we've done step 2. Now we want to multiply by the LCD. So our LCD in this case is x plus 5 times x plus 2. This one right here. So we want to multiply this whole equation that we just wrote by the LCD. If we multiply this first fraction by its denominator, we're going to be left with just the numerator. So we'll have just 4x plus 11. I'm going to write a 3 out here so you know that we're on step 3. So 4x plus 11 equals, if I take this LCD and I multiply it times this first fraction, the x plus 5s will divide out, so I'll be left with a times x plus 2. And then times this one, I'll have a b times x plus 5, because the x plus 2s will divide out. All right, so then step 4, substitute in zeros of the denominator to find a and b. So our zeros would be negative 5 and negative 2. Those are the two things that would make these parentheses equal 0. So let's start with substituting in negative 5 as a 0. I'm going to put it in for all of the x's there. So 4 times negative 5 plus 11 equals a times negative 5 plus 2 plus b times negative 5 plus 5. So over here on the left I get a negative 9. This is negative 3a. And the b term would equal 0, so it's gone now. So we can divide by negative 3, and we find out that a equals 3. So we're going to do that same thing again, But now we're going to do it with the other 0. X equals -2. So substituting -2 into everything, 4 times -2 plus 11 equals A times -2 plus 2 plus B times -2 plus 5. So we get -8 plus 3, which is 3. A is wiped out. B, we get a positive 3B. Divide by 3. Find out that B is 1. So we're already on step 4. We found out our 2 variables. Now step 5 is to rewrite the completed decomposition. So we're going to take our original fractions here, and we're going to substitute 3 in for A and 1 in for B to do step 5, which I'm going to have to kind of squeeze in the bottom of my paper here. So 3 over x plus 5, that was A, plus 1 over x plus 2 equals our original 4x plus 11 over x squared plus 7x plus 10. That is our completed decomposition. All right, let's try that again. So start with step 1 of factoring the denominator and see, push pause here in a second and see how many of the steps you can complete before you come back and check and see how you're doing. But start by factoring that denominator. Hopefully that first step of factoring, you got 2x plus 3 times x plus 1. You would have had to split the middle to do that. So then we set that equal. We have A over 2x plus 3 plus B over x plus 1. Now if you switched those denominators, that's going to be okay, hopefully, by the end. But your work might look a little different than mine. So that's step 1 and 2, actually. So now we're on to step 3, multiplying by that LCD. We're taking this LCD times all 3 parts. So we multiply it times the first part, we're left with x minus 8. Then we have A times x plus 1 plus B times 2x plus 3. Notice that the factor that the letter is with is the opposite one from what's underneath. All right, then we're going to substitute in the zeros. So step 4, substituting those in. Let's start with the 0 of this first one. Looks like x would be -3/2 or -1.5 that we're going to substitute in. So -1.5 minus 8 equals A times -1.5 plus 1 plus B times 2 times -1.5 plus 3. Double parenthesis there. Oh, I think that was too many. All right, -1.5 minus 8 is -9.5, which equals A, I like my number before my variable, so -1.5 plus 1 is -0.5A, and then this is -3 plus 3, so that's going to be 0, all that wipes out. Divide by -0.5, so A is a positive 19. Now we're going to substitute in our other 0, which is from the x plus 1, so it's -1. Do all that same work again, substituting them in. And I hope you are taking advantage of pausing and trying to do some of this on your own. Definitely helps you understand better when you try it. So -9 equals, the A's wipe out. Here we have -3 plus 3. Oh, -2 plus 3. Sorry, I had some bad math there. I'm like, wait a minute, that would wipe out our B. All right, -2 plus 3. So that's just 1B. Oh, so B equals -9. Okay. Well, let's put it all back together. Step 5, rewrite with our a value above our a, so 19 over 2x plus 3 plus our negative 9 over our x plus 1, and it's going to equal our original x minus 8 over 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. All right, last one. Again, please try number 3. This is our third time through, so see if you can work yourself, and even if you get through a few steps on your own, that's a good start. So hit pause for a second and then come back once you need to check. All right, first we start by factoring x minus 3 times x minus 3. Ooh, I hope you didn't last long. Maybe I shouldn't have told you to pause because this is actually a little different. When we have the same term in the denominator multiple times, one of our fractions is going to be x plus 3. The other one is x plus 3 squared. Okay, so now we're going to multiply by the LCD just like we normally would, but that was the one change there when you have that repeated factor. So we're ending up with x plus 1 equals a times x minus 3 plus b doesn't have anything, because if you multiplied x minus 3 times x minus 3, that's the same thing as x minus 3 squared, so those would divide out. All right, so now we're on to step 4 where we're substituting in the zeros. Kind of different here too because we only have one zero, x equals 3. So we're going to substitute that in, which wipes out our a, and we find out that b equals 4. So all of that is fine and good, but we don't know what a is. So on this one, and only this one, you're going to pick a random number. Could be anything, but I'd keep it simple. Let's use 2, for instance. So if I put 2 in, 2 plus 1 equals a times 2 minus 3 plus, I know b is 4, so I'm going to substitute 4 in for b. Comes from right there. So I have 3 equals, looks like a negative a plus 4. I'll subtract the 4 to get negative 1 equals negative a. So a is going to equal a positive 1. All right, so then we put that together. Last step, we have 1 over x minus 3 plus 4 over x minus 3 squared equals x plus 1 times x squared minus 6x plus 9. Voila! And you are done. So that was the end of 9.4. Your final or your test review will be coming shortly thereafter.